This episode is sponsored by refractivehealing.com. I highly recommend scheduling a remote healing with Jamie, as she is a talented healer and I had a great experience with her. She performed some kind of healing over me online, and I'm telling you, I was in a state of meditation like in 5 seconds. She is currently offering free healing sessions, so just visit the website refractivehealing.com to book a session with her. I will leave a link to the website in the pinned section below.
This was in a tumultuous time. It was during the lockdowns. Essentially, the lockdowns in our area had just ended to where we could finally go and travel somewhere. And we went to a state park. They call it the Mini Smokies. It was in Brown County State Park. And I was so excited and elated to just go anywhere at that point, but really was looking forward to this trip of hiking and getting around and just relaxing as well. But our Airbnb that we rented, it looked okay on the pictures, but arriving there, you never know the energy of a place anyway, per se, just from a picture. Right away, walking into our Airbnb, it was heavy. It was a stagnant, it was almost an oppressive feeling. And I did not like it. I did not feel welcome there. But we couldn't get another place. My husband, of course, thought I'm crazy. What is wrong with me? He didn't feel anything like that. But I'm a sensitive. But we went on, just dropped our stuff, whatever, and did our things for the day. And something had happened that day where my husband really, really infuriated me, and I was really angry with him. And I even went to bed that night of our, the first night there, went to bed angry. And I just remember, that was just all I was thinking, like going to sleep. But I did have a hard time sleeping there. I felt that oppressive or like negative energy. It was almost infuriating and feeding me more, because that's what negative entities do, is feed on the negative emotions. But when I woke up the next day, I had noticed this was a private area. It was on my bikini line. I had a large bump, and my husband says, well, it's probably just a spider bite or a bug bite. It's not a big deal. And, we're on vacation, and I didn't want to think the worst case scenario or anything. And I hate going to the doctors. I've been criticized for this before because I didn't go to the doctor during any of this, really. But I'm a holistic healer, and the doctors here really couldn't do anything about it. They're not trained for spider bites. They have nothing they can really give you after I Googled it and things like that, other than antibiotics. So I did some home remedies, natural antibiotics, ate garlic, used charcoal to draw out poison. And those things saved me, I believe, as well. But so I went on, just thinking I'm going to get it looked at when I get back to town. And so a few days progress, it ends up getting very swollen, very painful. And I'm a little more concerned of, this is serious or whatever, but I'm one to just fight through things and stay positive. And it went on to a few days in, and I started feeling really awful. I felt like I had a flu. I felt like, all my life was being drained out of me. Honestly, I was feeling like I was dying almost suddenly. And I said, I have to go lay down. Nobody was home. And I went to go lay and listen to healing music or meditation music. And I felt like I was going unconscious, and I started to have the life review. I started seeing all these scenes. It was just like a movie. It was as real as every scene in my life now. And they were showing me most, good things and things that I love in life. But then it started showing me I was angry. It started showing me I was not forgiving of my father. It showed me I had unforgiveness to overcome and anger to overcome is really what I got out of what the Great Spirit was trying to show me with this experience, that I needed to forgive my husband. I needed to forgive my father from the past. I did, and anybody really. We have to forgive everyone that has ever betrayed us or hurt us or broken our hearts. and understanding that that anger is poison, unforgiveness is poison. And so I was not seeing clearly, and like I had to go through this experience and this painful death, and like if you do die right now, like you're holding on to all this poison, and you were already poisoned before the spider bit me. So it was really a wake-up call for me. It was a really hard lesson. It made me, realize I was taking my life for granted in ways, thinking like my anger was justified. And really, there's no justified resentment or anger is what I learned from this experience. And I learned, if Creator can forgive everything, it's already forgiven. It's really just humans think we shouldn't forgive one another. It's an egoic thing as well, I guess you could say. But forgiveness is not like taking away. It is not saying that that person didn't do you wrong. It doesn't take that away. It just takes back your peace and your power when you learn to forgive truly. Because the way that Buddha teaches is, Buddha says, anger is holding on to a hot coal, and it's burning yourself, it's burning your soul, is really what I learned after this experience of just almost losing my life, and realizing again how sacred our life is and how special our life is, and that we can't take small things for granted.
Did you acquire any special abilities after your experience? Did you come back with any special abilities that you noticed, or somebody else around you noticed it?
Yes, but I've had abilities prior. I would say as a child, I would see things. I've been very empathic and very sensitive, suffered depression since I was a little girl because I was so sensitive, and had a very traumatic childhood growing up. But I slowly, with each experience, I have become more psychic and more spiritually aware. The first time I really remember encountering the angels and them communicating with me as I tried to commit suicide when I was 11 years old. And I took a bunch of pills in the cabinet, and I heard a voice in my head, and they said it was never a voice I'd heard before, and it wasn't my own voice. And it said, go tell your mother what you did. And I thought about it, and I'm like, okay, I will. I'm going to go do that. And I didn't really tell anyone why. And I kind of lied and said it was like an accident, and even told the doctor, it was an accident, because I was ashamed of, wanting to die. But I grew up, feeling like I didn't fit in this world, and feeling like I didn't belong, and feeling unloved and unwanted so much, and unworthy, just because my father didn't know how to love me. My parents were addicts. So, I chose a hard path before I came to this earth, and many healers do, and empaths do, just so we can overcome, we can empower and overcome ourselves through all these trials. But so the angels and the guides, that was just one of the first of many times I have been protected, and I've been, watched over and guided and guarded. And, so many people don't realize, like, that close call you had in a car accident, a lot of times you did die, and then the angels brought you back to right where you were. And then it seems like, well, I should have died, or how did that even happen? These are angel occurrences, or good glitches in the matrix that happen as well. But leading from my near-death experience into my out-of-body experience, which was the greatest experience, and I feel so blessed to have had, and it's a blessing to share here with you and everyone, is during my out-of-body experience, I went to heaven, but I didn't die. And this is something that, monks and gurus and sages, they've been able to do this. They've been able to, get through the veil, unlock through breath work and sacred chants. And there's many keys to get there, is what I've learned. My key to get there was a healing frequency, or it was a Tibetan mantra that began to play on my Alexa. I had originally told my Alexa as I was laying in bed trying to go to sleep at this night, and Alexa played this Tibetan song that I'd never heard before. And normally I sleep to the ocean sounds, and I decided I'm just going to let this play. And it was one of the most beautiful mantras, and it was singing bowls that were playing. And I started to just feel it in my soul, like deeply resonate with this. And I didn't know what they were speaking, but all of a sudden I could it sounded like they're calling me home. It says, come home. It was like an Om. It started with Om as well. But I started to vibrate in my body. And I've never felt this before like this. And it started to like vibrate so intensely throughout my body that my body almost imploded or exploded, and I turned to dust. I was literally back to stardust, or the dust that we came from. And at that point, I was a pure being of light. My body was gone, and there was a portal above me, and I was drawn and pulled like a magnet through this portal. And this was amazing to describe. It was like Star Wars. It was like I was going through space, I assume at the speed of light, since I was light. And I arrived at the galactic center with the central sun. Some people say with creator, with source, all those names, it's all one. And in this presence, as I'm communing there, I right away see source, who is undescribable to say, but a giant vortex of emanation of beautiful energy is a way I describe it, of just pure unconditional love, of pure, or it's even orgasmic feeling. It was such joy and such bliss like I've never experienced, and only experienced in these experiences. It's undescribable to understand the amount of love, of what true love power feels like in your entire essence and being. It's the most powerful thing. And so all my pain was gone. Nothing really mattered anymore. It was just this is heaven. It is. And I noticed other little lights, little stars that looked like me, that were tiny in comparison to this great supernova star there before me. And they were going and just like becoming one with this light, with the light source. And then I was pulled over and I became one with source. And this is where I was told my mission. And in this space also, I really need to mention is the frequency that I felt there. And the frequency was unconditional love. It was music, but in this frequency, harmonic tone, that was the very energy and essence core of creator. And that was the most important thing for me to know and to feel and to comprehend such amazing quality of love like I've never known, like the premium stuff, the best there is, and in that experience, I realized, all this unworthiness that I felt, all of this feeling unwanted and self-hate that I had for myself was all so foolish and was all just illusions and delusions that I had about myself, because I thought my parents couldn't love me. How could anyone love me? So I really learned that I am loved no matter what. And this isn't just for me. It's for all of us. All of those that think they're not good enough, they've been a sinner. They are, not deserving of love. The truth is you are loved even at your worst, your rock bottom. That it's so important that the lost souls, the depressed, ones that felt the way I did, feeling unwanted and alone, that you are never alone. You were never alone. And, part of these tests and trials are for you to really to go within and find your inner strength and reconnect with that great spirit, with that great sun, that it's all within us already. And people look outside for creator. They look outside for the magic. They look outside for the miracles, when you are the miracle, that we are all miracles. Everything in this universe is really miraculous if you open your eyes and realize what beautiful things are out there. Of course there's negative. Of course there's the darkness, there's the wars, there's the economics, there's injustice. These are all things I'm passionate about speaking about as well, but we have to look at the light too and remember the light and not lose hope that all these things we suffer through, all these things and trials and tribulations, we're going through as a collective now to help us evolve our soul. to help us understand who we truly are and where we truly come from is love. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what religion you are, what club that you've joined. And it's really, what love are you bringing to the world? What love are you embodying? You know, Jesus, Buddha, which Yeshua is his true name, these great masters, they taught us love. That's what the true religion is. And that's what I say, that's my religion now, even though I was raised Catholic. It had a lot to overcome from Catholic trauma there.
It's interesting there are so many names of the religions: Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, Judaism, but there is no religion called love.
Yes, that's what we need. You know, I'd rather, you know, call myself a philosopher as well, because in philosophy you can speak about such things before the politics and the religion, you know, come to say, you can't say this, you can't say that, and censor everything. Or the government. So I get censored all the time by the government as well. For actually, when I have said we are one and try to teach about the oneness and unity of our true consciousness and the simulation, that all of this world is an illusion world. This is really a dream world. And when you die, you really wake up in heaven. And this was just like a dream that you were having.
So your out-of-body experience seems to be more powerful than your near-death experience.
Yes, yes, yes.
When and how your out-of-body experience happened?
That was around 2016, but I'm not sure the date or the months. It was winter. It was cold out, I believe. And it was all due to this Tibetan mantra, and song was like a key frequency that opened the veil and created a portal, is what I've learned from that. I've tried to recreate that experience. I found that song and saved that song and would listen to it all the time. I'm like, oh, it didn't work. So it was meant to happen and divine to happen at that time. So, or maybe a key only works one time, and I've found other keys. I'm a big proponent of actually psychedelics and traditional medicine, and this is something I would call myself like a modern traditional medicine woman. Another big part of my story is I've had chronic Lyme disease and been sick from childhood on. And doctors tell you if you have Lyme disease, there's no cure for you. They basically, you know, want to give you pain meds and antibiotics, and Western medicine has no cure for so many autoimmune diseases. But so I gave up on that system entirely, and I said, no, I know Creator can heal anything. And I returned to like my traditional ways and ancestral ways. And that's, you know, part of my work too, and reconnecting people to, you know, we think we're so modern and so advanced, but ancient ancestors were way more advanced. We still can't recreate the pyramids today. And the Hindu Vedas are a wealth of knowledge with holistic healing, technology, all of these things that I dived into, and I have past life connections too as well. But with psilocybin, ayahuasca, and even DMT, which I've had experiences with, you can go right to heaven on DMT.
You know, so it's interesting. You can take you can get the same experience as a near-death experience.
Yes, yep, they are definitely. I know people that have gone to hell. Thank goodness I didn't have to go there.
So let me ask you then officially for the video, if you want to talk about this. So Denali, can you explain for my viewers what DMT is?
DMT, there's a great documentary called DMT, the Spirit Molecule. I recommend watching that. But DMT is naturally produced in nature in many different plants and species. During an ayahuasca healing ceremony, it's mainly DMT, I believe, in that compound. And it is also in our brain and produced in our brain. And when you die, they say copious amounts of the DMT is released. And when you go to sleep every night, essentially DMT is being released. So like, I would say science-based people that don't have any spiritual belief, they'll try to say this is just hallucinations when people are dying, or this is just hallucinations when you dream, and such things like that. But, you know, I had believed those things until I saw for myself these are not hallucinations. And the way that this was proven and shown to me is during mushroom healing journey between me and my husband, which we were trying to heal a lot of our own inner wounds between us, and went on a sacred journey. And we both saw and witnessed the stars. When we looked at the stars had this interconnecting grid. It was like each star was connected with this line of light, and the stars communicated with both of us telepathically. We are your family and we love you. And he had that same exact, witnessed it, heard the same thing. So how is this a hallucination? How are we hallucinating the same thing, And then we had other things that happened that night as well. We both saw Buddha. Our grass turned into the ocean, and the happy Buddha appeared in the grass, his face like laughing. And we both saw that. So that was just beginning of learning to, at the beginning of our healing journey, and learning how powerful psychedelics are. And they are tools and keys to see through the veil, to see through the matrix. And they help people wake up at a more rapid rate and see through these illusions at a rapid rate, which is the little miracles people can experience. The reason it's outlawed is because it is the red pill. Mushrooms and ayahuasca and all these things, they really change your life-changing experiences.
Okay, now you mentioned that you had some past life connections. Would you like to talk about that a little bit?
Yes. Well, this is really what I do with my work as well. I'm a quantum healer, which I'm sure you're familiar with Dolores Cannon. Dolores Cannon developed QHHT, which is quantum healing hypnosis therapy. And she was just traditionally a regular hypnosis therapist in the government. And all of a sudden, people started talking about their past lives. And this led her to do all the great work that she did. And I ended up on my journey really feeling called to do that work. So in my hypnosis technique, we guide people to future lives and future timelines as well as past lives, because time is all simultaneous anyway. If people can comprehend that, once you get to that level, everything is happening all at the same time, and time is another illusion here. Like time, I was timeless when I'm in Creator. I'm with Creator in heaven, and that experience. Time doesn't exist in that way in spirit form. But past life regressions are very empowering. It's helped me tremendously with healing generational trauma, help anyone as well, help many, many clients. Understanding our past helps us also learn the lessons that we needed to learn still in this incarnation that are holding people back. Like I really needed to learn forgiveness. And then I saw this reoccurring in past lives as well, like dying with unforgiveness in my heart. So having to come back and learn those lessons again. And in these past ages with modern Christianity and the Abrahamic religions, reincarnation has been like lost and hidden, I would say. And it's controversial in a sense, especially to Christians. I can't talk about it. They don't believe in anything close to reincarnation or past lives. Like in one of my past lives, I was an Anasazi medicine woman, and my sister in this life was my granddaughter, and I taught her she became the medicine woman. I trained her to take over from that life. And you can see beautiful experiences. One of my favorite regressions are going back to is the Atlantean times or the Lemurian times, which I've just had so much interest in for years and years, always fascinated me. And Dolores has this in a lot of her books, and Edgar Cayce, the Sleeping Prophet, as well. But the amazing thing about QHHT is you can also have these spiritual experiences without DMT or without drugs, and they can be induced through the hypnosis techniques.
Okay, now, what have you learned from your past life regressions?
Oh, I've learned so much. I've learned a lot. I think for personally, I learned by doing them on others as well. That's the thing that I really don't call my work, and I have such a passion and feel so blessed to do is almost every client that has been brought to me, I find out we've had a past life connection. I just started asking that for fun. Because I felt like I knew these people. That's how another sign that you know someone from a past life, when you meet them, it's almost like it's like deja vu. You felt like you've already met before. They feel very familiar. You swear, like, haven't I seen you before? Haven't, and you've never met. So and then you feel a connection to them. You feel you can open to them. That's a soul family. That's someone that your souls already know each other. Like me and you, we already know each other.
Yeah, we start talking right away, about how is weather, how is everything in the woods over there. Yeah, we
Yes,
do.
and it just feels natural to talk to
Yeah, it
instead of
does.
like
Yeah.
a forced fake, conversation.
Yeah.
Which but quantum healing is a future modality. In my work, I was contacted by the Agarthans, and this is what I'm writing a book about as well, which they requested, like the angel guides, the Agarthans requested I write a book. And they started coming through, though, initially through other clients that would come to me and give me messages. And the same thing happened to Dolores Cannon. So it was exciting to me. Like, she had Nostradamus came through to her through a client that had a lifetime and was a student or disciple of Nostradamus. And then he started, and that's how she wrote the book. Nostradamus wanted us to know we were misinterpreting some of his quatrains. I don't know if you're familiar with this.
Well, I watch Dolores Cannon a lot. She's everywhere.
Well, I'm thankful for her. She's been one of my teachers. My teachers were trained by her, but I was not personally. She was already passed on by that point. But the Agarthans have also helped me develop a new evolution of QHHT, which is done in half the time. And because a traditional QHHT is 4 hours long, and mine are now 1.5 to 2 hours, because she would go through every little detail in a life. And I just go to the most prominent. And then I have other ways that I am much different than her technique, as I incorporate healing frequencies and more shamanic practices. But the Agarthans are from an inner earth civilization. You could call them aliens, which I do not like that term. I don't think that's a correct term. They're interdimensionals. They are, celestials would be a better word. And I've been on the ships. I'm a contactee as well. I don't know if you know Bashar. I'm sure you know Bashar.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm one of the contact specialists here as well, sharing the messages and helping to, introduce a more universal consciousness and new earth consciousness here, that, helping humanity slowly understand who we all are. And we're a universal family. We are not alone in the universe.
Yeah. Now, I kind of had this idea even when I was a little kid. I remember I was looking at the stars. I was little, 10 years old, 8 years. I can't believe that there is no more, there is no more live beings and all this. There should be some, and I was a little kid, but for some reason I was so fascinated by astronomy. Astronomy was my number one subject. I loved that. And also literature, astronomy, geography, things like that. I was not very good at math. Now, let me ask about the past life regressions. How this procedure actually takes place, if you can explain a little bit.
Okay, well, there's a lot of misconceptions I like to get through first, that people think when you're hypnotized, like you're under a spell, I could control you. A hypnotist could make you do something out of your character, which is not true, like they do in the magic shows. That's just for show, but you have free will always. And hypnosis, everyone can be hypnotized. People assume I can't be hypnotized. I've not had any problem. I have techniques to help people that are a little problematic, that are more, kind of not used to it. You just have to get used to it, used to the frequency of relaxation. That's really what I help people get into, a very deep peace and relaxation. And that's when you can connect within, and we connect with what is called the higher self, what is called your super consciousness, and the subconscious. And that's like a supercomputer in itself, and has all the answers that we need. Sometimes they won't let you know. Sometimes they say at a later time, or you're not ready to know certain things. But it is how we start to find ourselves, to find creator, to find our mission, to find really all these mysteries that people want to know. it's within ourselves, and I help people access them and learn how to really, it's an empowering experience. Instead of going to a psychic, we turn you into the channel. You're learning how to channel, and we were born to channel. We are, our brain, like Nikola Tesla says, is really a receiver. And so really, I help people tune into the different frequency instead of all these 3D matrix, false matrix frequencies that are in their thought forms and that are clouding their mind, and just guide them to where we need healing. You know, that's the other thing the world needs, is like the inner child healing is so important. That's some of the most important work that I do. And, you know, most people that I work with are women, and I really wish, I'm so excited when I get a man or a male, because so many men just don't want to do the healing work and don't realize how different their vibration and their life would be if they weren't so afraid to look in the mirror and look at those inner demons and look at those wounds, because ignoring wounds is not going to heal them. But in this work, you know, we go into past lives because we carry trauma from a past life in our genetic memory in our body. I had a client that she had this back pain that would never go away, that she did all these things for years and years. And when we regressed her, I found out it was a lover from a past life was stabbing her in the back. And he had murdered her in that life, and their roles were reversed. But this spirit was attached to this soul every time she reincarnated, trying to get revenge and trying to hurt her. So I had to communicate. This was a really interesting session. Communicate with that spirit and say, will you forgive? And they didn't know any better. Please forgive them. And they had both, you know, this amazing healing experience, and her back pain literally went away from this session. And she told me, and I was even shocked, because this was the first time I've had an experience like that with a client. It was in my first year. And I'm like, this is just amazing. And Dolores Cannon talked about this all the time. You can have miraculous healing, but we have these metaphysical, you know, symptoms sometimes, like people that have pain in their shoulders. They're carrying stress there. They're carrying a trauma there. And every disease goes back to, there's a spiritual root cause that caused even my Lyme disease. It goes back, you know, unforgiveness. And, you know, these are bad programs that we need to overcome. And with QHHT, we implant a new high vibrational program. Like if we find, you know, they're not loving themselves, I implant a new self-love, you know, program. And so it's really powerful experiences, and it's a lot of fun what I do. I've met a lot of famous past life people, like John the Baptist. I regressed one, and that was a fun session. And, you know, but really the aliens or Atlantean times are, you know, my favorite. It's just, you know, just great to, it's such an interest of mine. So I love to hear, you know, when these come through.
So how many past life people can access in one session?
Multiple. You can access multiple ones. What I like to do for clients that have a lot of fearful based programs, that are just have a lot of anxiety, because that's what anxiety is, fear. And I guide them finishing up to a future lifetime, to where they can see their future self, because this is also really important spiritual work that we do, that we all start to visualize more of our future self, that best version of yourself, that ideal self, because that's really who you truly are anyway, and that it already exists in the other dimensions. You are already this perfect being. And you can be so much more than you even visualize or even imagine as well. But timelines, like we said, we're traveling through time and space during quantum healings. You do that every night when you go to sleep and you're dreaming. Yeah. You think you're dreaming.
You can do that. You can do that in the afternoon when you take your nap too. Just do it 2 times a day.
Yes, as well. But the more you open your third eye, the more you practice meditation, the more quantum healings that you go through, it helps you reach next levels in your consciousness and on your journey. And really, the most important thing that people need to understand is the work that we do on ourselves is sacred work. And if we want to change the world, everybody wants to change the world. And, you know, I always felt like this. I've always been like, I'm a rebel and anti-government, and have been, controversial like all my life in a lot of my statements and in philosophies, how I am as a being, because I just loathe injustice in the world. But understanding I can't affect the economics. I can't change the government personally. So what power do I have? We can't drive ourselves crazy with all of these outside noises and really distractions and fear programs. And that's why I haven't watched the news in years and years. It's just a fear program. But understanding the government doesn't want us to open our third eye, because that's when you see through the illusions and you see their lies. It's really hard to lie to an empath, because we feel when people are lying. We feel the energy. We feel when people are not authentic. And it's just so much easier. And I have such a clear perspective from my quantum healings on myself, and just doing them with others has really helped me on my journey so much. It's funny because clients, I can just relate to their pain and their trauma so many times. And it's like, I feel, a sense of relief and peace when others find that as well, because everything is, what you give comes back to you. That's really karma. You reap what you sow. And when people understand that, really, whenever you hurt someone, you're hurting yourself, you're hurting Creator. And, I think the most important thing that I've been teaching in the last 2 years, and that I finally transcended within myself, is I kept asking my angel guides and spirit guides, what is holding me back? What is, my biggest obstacle? And they told me not loving myself, still not loving myself to the level of what Creator loves us like, because that is the true love. And that is the way that we should almost fall in love with ourselves to that level and to that degree. And that is how you shift to new earth. And that is how you become your highest self, in every moment, that you're purely unconditionally not judging yourself and loving yourself for everything that you are, instead of shaming yourself for your past. Or, really, I learned that it was parts of ourselves, or myself, that we rejected, our shadow aspects, my inner child, that I thought, I didn't love myself as a child. I have to love my inner child again and love her and tell her, you are always worthy, and we all are.
Yeah, we always earn for this love that we felt on the other side as children and as an adult. All the time we feel it. But then when you get disappointed a lot with all this love, is not coming to you from parents or from people that you love, they don't love you back, then you start to love yourself, start to realize that you got to love yourself no matter what. Nobody's going to love you as you
Exactly.
love yourself. Yeah.
And the more you love yourself, the more you it overflow with that love. And people are going to feel it when they're in the room with you. You're blessed space just by having that vibration of love for yourself. And it makes it so much easier to see everyone else within others and love them as well.
Yeah, and people can feel it even over the screen right now. We're doing this podcast, and there are people they can feel it virtually too. One question: how these procedures of past life regressions affected you personally?
Well, personally, I felt it's empowered me. It's helped enlighten me. I felt like I'm doing my calling, and this is what I definitely was called to do, is healing work in general. As my out-of-body experience, led me to this path as well. And all of, looking back at all my past pain, I wasn't truly living. And when you live in a low vibration and go to and reach, the levels of love that I've reached, the levels of just feeling peace within my own body, that's heaven in itself. That is really what the light workers and the volunteer souls are here to teach and embody, is that find this peace and love within you. And everybody seeks outside that they think that big house is going to make them happy. They think that status or, whatever it is outside of them, or, getting accolades and recognized by others, when truly, I had to have my heart utterly broken, and had to go through a lot, suffering, to realize nothing can find and give you that true, lasting inner happiness, peace, joy, and love without loving yourself. And in that essence, you are loving Creator at the same time. And love is the highest form of worship. So people that want to connect to God more, to Creator more, love yourself with that pure, unconditional love that is equal to Creator. And that's how you'll feel the presence. You will feel the oneness. You will feel more and more that you're not just in this body, that you're also in heaven, and bringing that vibration down. And each one of us, it awakens. It's like, it's contagious, and then it spreads.
Yeah.
And
there was a beautiful explanation, Denali. Now, when do you think that your awakening came to you? When you think you became awakened? After your out-of-body experience, or after your near-death experience, or it just came to you eventually, because some people don't have to have extreme experiences like you had. They just become awakened eventually. I remember a story about a yogi who got awakened just by looking at a tree. He was so present all the time, and he was watching this tree all the time, the way it blossomed, the way it became green, the way the leaves became yellow. And this is how he became awakened, because he was in the present all the time. How this experience happened with you, for example?
Well, it's a personal journey for everyone. And I feel like it's not definitely an overnight thing for people to awakening. I don't call myself fully awakened or fully enlightened. I say it's a lifelong journey. I'm still a work in progress, but with each experience, I feel I've become more awakened. I've become more enlightened. I've expanded my consciousness. With the solar flare, these huge X-class solar flares that started January 1st have been very intense and immense energies. And we just had 2 or 3 last night. Last night, laying in bed, I felt a beam of energy go into my crown chakra, and literally it was very uncomfortable. I felt it expanding my crown chakra, and I've had other experiences. I've had that in my third eye before as well. But with these times, these are prophetic and exciting times to be here and experience, because this is the change of the game. We're here to change the game. We're not here to play the old Matrix game. And we are truly leaders and rebels. And I like to call myself Trinity from the Matrix sometimes. Like, follow me. I'm your little white rabbit, or Trinity to follow, to understand we don't have to play the game. Be a rule breaker. Be ready to question things that you're told. You really have to question your reality. And that's something I've done at a young age. And I would argue with, history teachers and things like that. But I was given a book in high school called Behold a Pale Horse by William Cooper. And that was an awakening moment for me, realizing like so many conspiracies and government, evil agendas that are going on. But what it also did is placed a lot of fear in me and a lot of paranoia. And I went down just a dark conspiracy road for a lot of time, and feeling hopeless, because I thought the government is so corrupt all around the world. There's a satanic agenda that controls everything. And, COVID also was a huge wake up call for that. I'm never getting a vaccine, by the way. Like, I'm huge. And I'm like, yes, I've warned, it's a curse. It's not, don't take it, but it's all right. People have taken it. But there is so much more to the universes than what we've been led to believe, or just understanding our own power is so important. And the governments and the media and the celebrities use all these distractions, and religions even give half-truths, and we've really been disempowered to not know thyself. And knowing thyself is how you know Creator.
Yeah, that's what we're doing here in the podcast. And people that come to the podcast, and all these videos around, not only my podcast, for example, but we're trying to awaken a little bit with our
And you
conversations.
are.
Yeah.
You are. Well, awakening also, I said it's been over 20 years really when I feel like I started this journey, but I'm keeping, I feel like it's an infinite rabbit hole. You know, I think we're never going to know it all. We're not until you leave.
Yeah, if the infinite is infinite, then your awakening is infinite as well. It's always evolving. Always in progress. Who knows where is there is no end. That's what they say, at least.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this: are you afraid of death?
No, not at all. Death is not what we think it is either, and that's an illusion. As I like to say, you know, really, I help cross souls over, and we do another thing called lives between lives. When we're in a past life, I'll say, okay, see that body, you know, and see your soul. Where does it go? And it goes on alien ships a lot of times, and you meet with your council on an alien ship, and then they go over a life review and tell you how you did and what lessons you needed to learn and give us further guidance. But it's another fun thing that we do is we actually all can connect to our spiritual guides, and we can all, you know, on our own. That's what quantum healing helps introduce, that once you start to learn these ways to quiet your mind, and with tools and practices and healing frequencies, you can all start to have these inner journeys on your own without a guide. You know, there's so many resources out there for people to start, you know, guided meditations just on YouTube and things like that. I have some on my YouTube as well, and we'll be uploading more of those. But, you know, past lives and future lives, you can learn. I teach people in a future life, you can see your potential that you're supposed to reach, you know, and so many people do not reach their potential and don't even try because of fear-based programs, or, you know, feeling unworthy, not good enough. And we're all equal, really, is the other thing that religions, there's a chosen race that Judaism teaches. There's no chosen race. Race is an illusion as well. And, you know, Creator treats us all, you know, we are all equal in Creator's eyes. So that's a big problem with religions that teach us superiority to others. I want to say free Palestine right now. I forgot I was going to say that at the beginning of the podcast. Free Palestine. I am, you know, it's genocide going on in Palestine, and heartbreaking, and it is, you know, a big illusion that's going to be revealed. And, you know, this is all, the evil is going to come to light. It's already in the process. That's why things are so chaotic right now. I try to remind people this is just the old world passing away, and we're seeing the split of the two worlds. There's actually infinite worlds, but we're seeing the split of the negative to the positive. And I'm so thankful for TikTok, because I wouldn't really know what's going on in Gaza if it wasn't for TikTok.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the Free Palestine. I am also Free Palestine too. This is crazy what's happening. Just incomprehensible. Now, one more question. If people want to find more about you, about your work you do, maybe you have a book in progress, courses, if you'd like to share that.
Yes, I do. I am working on a book. The Agarthans, after they contacted me, had asked me to share some of their messages. I'm also sharing my personal journey in there, and sharing other, like, quantum healings, things that I've learned, accessing, you know, past lives as well, and future timelines. I've also seen future timelines, and want to give a message about that before we are complete, of how I have been to New Earth and seen New Earth, and the beautiful future that is awaiting those that choose the highest timeline for themselves and don't fall into the fear campaigns and things like that are all going on. But New Earth is truly something you need to imagine and visualize yourself. Imagine peace on Earth. Imagine family again, like humanity being one family again. This is really what Creator wants for all of us, and for humanity to choose, you know, to stop choosing the greed and the hate and all the animosity and things that are causing these wars and the frustrations in the world. and pain and suffering in the world that are so unnecessary. But New Earth is all about love. The way we get there is through love and understanding the love that we need to be and embody that more and more. And with each new day, you're moving closer to that reality and becoming one with love, like I spoke of earlier. But, you know, it's so hard for people to even imagine a world with justice, a world where everyone has food and clothes and water. But it's not, it's the way the world should be. And there we have enough for everyone. It's just greedy people out there that don't want to share with, and nobody can own creator. That's what we need. And nobody can own the earth, rather. No one can own Mother Earth. And it's time where she's going to be reborn, and we're going to have oneness and peace and healing for Mother Earth as well. But people can find me on TikTok. I'm on TikTok, Denali Veda Quantum Healing, on Facebook, Denali Veda Quantum Healing as well. YouTube, I'm not on there that much. I've been censored on there a lot. I might just start a new channel, but you can find me on YouTube. And for future things, hopefully my book will be out this year. And I just share more spiritual experiences, more about the Agarthans and how they're Earth Guardians, and they're here. They've helped guide humanity through the beginning. They are like the archangels as well. They have many names. So I talk about that more in my book. And then I have a website, DenaliMindBodySoul.com, where you can book spiritual life coaching, quantum healings. And then I also make some traditional medicines that deal with really detoxing parasites. And parasites are another thing I could go into about how demonic they are, and the suffering they're causing around the world with chronic illness and things like that. And but basically, I want to help people be a better version, healthier in the mind, in the body, in the soul, and in all three levels. And that's really what holistic is. And healing is all about just, you know, coming back to the wholeness and the peace and the healthiest version of ourselves. And the more you love yourself, the more you commit to that.
Yeah. Well, but maybe this Earth, this planet, is not designed for that. Maybe this planet is designed for contrast.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't see the black, we don't know what white is. If you don't suffer, we don't know what happiness is, and so on. Mm-hmm. Maybe this is my thought. Maybe it's designed for this, so people can evolve and then never want to come back here anymore. They just want to go to another planet.
Well, this is what they've showed me and showed you never really change the earth that you're on. You change your frequency, and you are going to go to a different dimensional parallel earth where the contrast is not, you don't need to experience those things anymore. You've gone through the contrast. So I'm already seeing this. The earth is getting better and more healed, and good things are coming in my version of earth and timeline that I'm on, because also our thoughts create our reality. So if you're thinking that we have to experience the contrast here, you're going to keep experiencing that, where you can shift your thoughts to, I can experience heaven on earth. And that's really what the angels and the Agarthans, and more so coming through on many, many other channels, is like, be the frequency that you want to be, and that's how you change your reality.